are above budget by 40. Primarily legal, and here's the IT, which has been outsourced. Educational materials are running below budget. Insurance above budget by $1,000. Anytime you're within $1,000, you're doing really good. Operations and maintenance are above budget by 5. That is due to the additional rent expense. We're in the process of negotiating the purchase of the 63rd Street building. To do that, you had to come up with a new lease agreement. The board authorized it, and I think with Al and I's help, made it happen very quick. The other cost that's above budget is communication. And it continues to be the same problem that the administration is working on, copier overage. And it's for both locations. You're basically using the copy machines extensively. I know Al and I are working at new deals, and that hasn't really kicked in yet. Here's the good news, if you go to the next page. And it's hard to believe, but we're talking about 6 months of the school year is gone. I know parents are probably sitting there, school year starts September, but from a school corporation perspective, school starts July 1. So this is for 6 months, and for 6 months, the school's made a profit over $189,000. It was budgeted to make a profit of $118,000. So they're beating the budget after 6 months by over $71,000. A lot of schools would love to be in your shoes. The good news is revenues are running above budget by $88,000. Although the school district of Philadelphia tuition's below budget by 21, it's the tuition rates. Your school, just like every other charter school, has no say in what the tuition rates are. They're demanded by the school district. Food is running above budget by 18, that again is from nutritional development services. The good news is out of district is above budget by 85. And basically, honestly, parents want their kids coming to the school. Even when they move out of the city, they want their kids coming to the school. Expenses are above budget by 17. Personnel comp is below budget by 112,000. That's just excellent cost control by the administration. Building costs are above budget by 4. That was to get this building inspected. You don't want to get into consideration of a new lease agreement or potential buy without having an idea of what are the things that need to be fixed. Contracted services are above budget. Basically, we're talking about legal fees, IT services, annual report fees, and some sped transport costs. Education materials below budget by 8, even though we spend over $150,000. Equipment costs are above budget by 4. That's again copiers, and that's being fixed. Insurance is above budget by 2. Operations and maintenance above budget by 10, which is the additional rent paid to Our Lady of Lourdes. Professional development is running a little bit above budget by 4, and communication costs are above budget by 14. Again, copiers. Cash. School is sitting on cash of $1,155,000 as of December 31st. So, when the school district, let's talk about the budget for just a second. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is one of 2 states in the United States that doesn't have an approved budget. The school district of Philadelphia, and my hat is off to Dr. Height. He treated the charters more than fair. The money was coming in 100% July through December. He told people, and he's a man of his word, if we don't have an approved budget by the middle to end of December, I'm going to have to pay only 50 cents on the dollar in January. He did that. We were prepared for that. The school has no problems because the leadership has made some very good plans, and cash is not a problem. But I can tell you, and this is another set of good news, the governor produced some emergency funds for all the schools, not just charters, all the schools. And Dr. Height, to his credit, and Fran Burns, the Chief Operating Officer, have issued a statement that the 50 cents on a dollar that was shorted in January will be paid on February 5th, along with 100% of the February tuition. More good news, March's tuition is going to be on a 100% basis, April's 100%, and May's 100%. But ladies and gentlemen, beyond that, if we get to June, God knows what will happen. But we as a school, Ad Prima Charter School, can handle it without a problem. I would tell you, if you can get a hold of your legislators, tell them to work out a budget. This school worked very hard, as all charter schools, in developing a budget by June 30th. Why should the Commonwealth be excluded? Well, I'll take any questions that you may have from the board.
I make a motion that we approve and adopt the financial report. It's been moved and properly second. Ms. Weeconry, how do you vote on that?
Too much information out to have for what.
Ms. Hargrove? Ms. Williams? Yes. Ms. Coakley? And Deborah Smithy approves. Okay, now we'll have reports from our two principals.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This evening, both principals are going to give a report regarding the schools, and they're going to also introduce our special ed coordinator and our new dean of students at the Frankford campus.
You can go ahead and go. He's going to try.
Good evening. Good evening, board. Good evening, families. My name is Stephanie Finnan. I'm the interim principal at the Frankford campus. Don't mind as I read off here, so I want to make sure I get everything. I've only been there for about 4 weeks, and I'm trying to assess the school. My role as principal is facilitator, supporter of quality instruction and practices, and we realize that improved test scores go hand in hand with that quality instruction and practice. So I've been spending a great deal of time in the classrooms, working with the teachers, talking to students. I find I learn the most when I talk to the students, looking at tests, looking at assignments, looking at curriculum, looking at lesson plans. And the whole point is to improve the quality and rigor that our students are receiving. The Title I after school program is in full effect, it's doing very well at both schools. It, in essence, is in place to help students prepare for the PSSA. We're using the PSSA performance curriculum, but it's actually called PSSA Performance Curriculum Coach, and it's a great curriculum, and it helps us to make the kids ready, test ready all the time. That way, whatever environment they're in, they are test ready, and that's the goal. So they're ready for any high stakes test, whether it's at the PSSA or a high school placement test. But right now, the after school program is doing really well. We wish we could open it to everyone, but at this point, it's for 3 to 8. And the goal is to create a community of learners. So in order to raise the bar in all aspects, we need resources. So we've ordered a great deal of textbooks and workbooks, so all students have everything they need to be successful, and teachers, both in the classroom and at home. We've also upgraded our copy machines. I've heard the copy machines mentioned. So we have 2 new ones, which is great, because we know that we were having some issues in the past, but these are working seamlessly, so the teachers are happy. Again, this helps them with resources and to be prepared for every day. Again, our goal is to tackle curriculum head on. That is our focus, and I'll be spending as much time as possible in the classrooms as I can just to see what's going on and to assess it on a regular basis. Another new addition that happened 2 weeks ago is our new dean of students, Mr. Darren Millen over here. He has been such an asset over the past few weeks. I am so grateful to have him and very appreciative. At this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to Ms. Brown so she can talk about her school. Thank you, board.
Thank
you,
you.
families.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, bear with me. So progress reports will be, as far as the progress report for the second quarter, the second one of the second quarter will be distributed on Friday, January 15th. Teachers have been instructed to add a Jeopardy well, I guess jeopardy in jeopardy of failing. There we are. They'll have that letter, and that letter will just really give the parents some side, an overview of the academics, that the areas that they're struggling in, and then actually provide action plans for students. So that could be simply as turning a missing assignment, submit a project. It'll actually be given in that letter. Excuse me, this is fatigue. All right, January 22nd is when our second quarter ends, and our conferences will happen on January 4th and 5th. And so parents can look forward to that information coming out shortly. February 4th and 5th, my apologies. 5th through 8th grade students will be building their academic portfolio. They'll continue from quarter one, and that's just an opportunity for them to showcase the work that they've done all quarter. And then they have to present that to their parents. So that takes some of the pressure off the teacher as far as explaining the grades. The students actually take the time to explain their grades to their to their parents, excuse me. In addition, here at 63rd Street, we initiated a piece called Home Connection, and we were able to send home an ELA piece last week, and that's just to reinforce the skills that are being assessed, or just really just aligned with the Common Core standards. So we started off with non-fictional text, and they had to cite textual evidence to support a claim. And just looking at, for example, one grade of the 20 students that submitted, we only had 35% that performed at a proficient level, which we're calling 80% or higher. So we definitely see the deficiencies, and we're working to adjust that. This week we'll send out math, and again, we're looking for those results to then, of course, make some adjustment to instruction. Moving on, for the upcoming weeks, before the test, we are all aware of the PSSAs coming up in April. So we're going to work at both sites to incorporate testing skills and strategies, of course, within the actual lesson. So it's not just something where we drop everything and it's test prep. Those things will be done within the instructional time in school. And of course, we can utilize our study hall period as well to reinforce those skills. We received our 2014-2015 school progress report, and again, we recognize those deficits, and as a group, an entire team, we are working with building or closing those gaps that we do have. For example, currently, we have no score for student surveys, parent surveys, so we have Omnivest who've already drafted those, and we have our 5th and 8th grade students who've already provided their input. In addition, Ms. Blackwell will be drafting surveys, parent surveys, to get more input on homework. Whether is it rigorous enough, do we need to do it more frequently, whatever the case may be, we'll have that sent out shortly. And to end on a positive note, community service, MLK Day is approaching, and our 5th through 8th graders have been painstakingly sewing bears, handmade bears, to donate to a local family center here in West Philadelphia. So we'll donate those on the 22nd of January, and that's it for 63rd Street. Yes.
Will that parent survey be sent to the Frankfurt campus?
Yes, it will be for both sites, yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
And now I'll introduce Mr. Ben Randall, who is our special ed coordinator for both sites.
Good evening. So my name is Ben Randall. I'm the special ed coordinator for Ad Prima. Just give you my objectives for Ad Prima
He's here.
is to provide all students in the schools with all the tools and support services they need. So we'll go back to earlier this year. Earlier this year when we began, we had 23 students identified in special ed. Today, as we stand here, we have 60 students identified. So we had a lot of things out of compliance and so on earlier. As of date right now, we are in compliance with all of our IEPs, evaluations, reevaluations, and so on. Today, in our schools, we are servicing everything from Title I, speech, learning support, behavior support, emotional support, physical therapy. And we also have new interventions coming out for math and reading, for students that are 2 grades and below that need more support. We have 2 meetings coming up for parent meetings, January 26th and January 28th. I will send out an email saying which dates are for which location. And they're going to be for parents to have the opportunity to meet with school and be involved in their child's education, and to go over different services that are offered to students and the different supports. Do you have any questions? Yes.
What are some of the interventions that you're looking into?
Well, for math interventions, we use Go Math in the classrooms right now. We're looking at Math Right Now, Math Now, and Math, I think it's called Math Now and Math Right Now. The reading interventions, we were looking at a few different programs.
We're in the process of selecting good evidence-based, research-based programs, but we're also looking at the cost. There's a real variation, so Ben and I are researching a number of different things, and we're tapping into some resources with Maria and some other resources that Ben has to figure out the best program. But we're going to purchase a set for each for literacy and for math, for reading and for math, for both sites, and that'll be used for children 2 grades or more. All of them.
It's not going to be online.
No.
It's going to be, I want something with I think we want something with a textbook, hard book, and the workbook as well. And then as well with, I would like something also with an online component. That way they can do things at home.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's going to have online components, but it won't be.
That's not the course.
I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we'll have a report from our Chief Executive Officer.
Good evening, everyone. I want to begin this evening's report, and I am going to direct this to the parents a little bit because I want to answer 2 areas of concern that keep coming up with the families. But first, I want to discuss an incident that occurred last Wednesday at the Frankford School. We were in the process of dismissing the children. It was the end of the day, and we had just gotten all the buses off the site, and we were doing the last of the children being picked up. And as that was being completed, we were beginning the after-school program, and then we opened the doors to let our parents in for the first PTO meeting. And at the time that we let the parents in, an individual got into the school, was able to get into the stairwell and steal one of our staff members' purses. They stole the contents, left the person, and exited the building. We have very good video of the individual. The police have the video. They released the video. The thing that I want to discuss with the families, and the thing that I want to apologize for, is we had a communication breakdown with the police. We did not get the letter out to the family last week, and that's my responsibility to make sure that we communicate with the police and get the information out. We apologize that the letter went out yesterday. The individual, we think there's a possibility the individual is known to us or known to the police. We're waiting for them to conduct their investigation, but in the meantime, we have very good security on the campus. We have very good cameras. We're very mindful of letting people into the building. But we realize that the Frankford School is right on the street, and you do have to be very mindful of opening the doors. So one of the things we're going to add is we're going to put a security person right at the entrance who will be sitting there. So even when we buzz people and let them in, that person will be there to receive them. And that person will make sure that the appropriate person is getting into the school and that nothing can occur once they enter the building. We're going to add an additional camera to the entranceway so we can do that and see the individual as they enter. The other 2 things I'd like to discuss is there's a lot of confusion with the families regarding busing. When you are a charter school, you are the same as a public school in terms of you are required by law to offer busing to the children. The Ad Prima schools did not do that in the past. We began that this year, and the busing is provided by the Philadelphia School District, and then they contract out with 2 other busing companies to cover the entire city. It is a service provided to us. They are not our employees. So when we have issues with the bus company and when we have issues with things that occur on the buses, we do the best we can with the school district and with the bus company that's providing the service. We don't want you to be inconvenienced. We know sometimes the pickups are early. We know sometimes they're late. We know there's difficulty from time to time, but it is a service, again, that's provided to us, and they're not our employees, so we ask you to be patient in terms of resolving problems. The person with the most authority is the parent when they call the bus company and raise a concern about what's being done with their child. So we would ask all of you to do that if you have concerns. But for the remainder of the year and going forward, we will provide public busing, and I know from my conversations with a lot of the parents, they're very grateful that their children are being bused and that they no longer have to get them back and forth to the school. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that busing is a requirement, and busing is a service provided by the Philadelphia School District, and the employees are not employees of the Ad Prima charter schools. And last and most important is the bus runs may include children from other schools. The buses are not just for the Ad Prima schools. The third issue that I want to discuss this evening is there is a misunderstanding about, as a charter school, how we admit students. Each year as a charter school, we are required to run an open and random lottery. We select children through that lottery system based on the families that submit a request to be placed in the lottery. And once we select those children, they are ours. We do not test children, we do not screen children. Any child we select becomes a student in the Ad Prima schools, and we must then provide services to that child. I don't think we ever want to say anything like we're letting in the wrong kind of children. We never want to make those statements. We are required by law to take children as they're selected through the lottery, and we will continue to do that every year going forward. I'm going to let our attorney, Maria Kane, talk for a few minutes about the lottery system in Pennsylvania.
Hi, Maria Kane. I'm with the law firm of Lotso, Davis & McKenna. We serve as the solicitors to the school and the school board. And just because it's such an important issue and that there have been questions raised, I think, recently regarding the enrollment process, the school is limited under the charter school law in how they admit students. And the charter school law does allow preferential treatment only to those students who are already here and to their siblings. There's one other preference that I don't think would apply for founding members at this point. But beyond that, they are then limited in how they admit students through a lottery system. So to the extent that there are openings after those legal preferences are filled with already admitted students, followed by their siblings, then they will begin to take Philadelphia School District students based on their fulfillment of the requirements under the lottery. So, and I think there'll be information coming home soon regarding, whether or not your students will continue to, attend Ad Prima. So, and those timeframes will be set forth in the letter as to just indicating your desire to continue attending. And to the extent that there are new students who are interested in the school, then they'll have to follow the procedures that are set forth in the law and not set forth in any form of a policy or preferential treatment, set forth by this board, because that is something they're limited by. Unfortunately, they have a law that they have to follow. So,
Maria, we should mention that the initial lottery is for Philadelphia students. That is the first lottery. Those are the students that are selected first.
right, students will be in the lottery. The students will be selected first who are residents of Philadelphia. They can only go beyond Philadelphia after those spaces are filled. So depending on the number of spaces, and if those spaces are filled by Philadelphia students, then those spaces will not be filled by students who live outside of the boundaries.
Thank you.
Just one comment about the public comment.
Oh yeah, I think we're getting close to being finished with the meeting, and this will open up public comment, which will be limited based on board policy to 2 minutes per individual. So anybody who has already expressed their interest in public comment?
If you want to make a public comment, can you please sign? I have a folder up there, you still here? If you have that. I left it on the land.
Does anybody have the
Everybody grab the sign-in? or the,
Sign-in sheet.
The manila folder? No. Yeah. We're gonna begin, public comment.
The first individual is Tamika Owens.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I have to go to the podium.
Hello again, everyone. My comment is directed towards the CEO. You said there was a breakdown in communication as far as you corresponding with the parents as for the event that happened on January 6th. What kind of breakdown was there? Did the police notify you that you shouldn't have notified the parents? What happened? Because it seemed very convenient that you sent home, or whoever you had to send home a letter yesterday after it was aired on the news. And it's very unsettling that that happened. I understand it was an emergency, all of those things, and we have been understanding as parents, but it seemed like you tried to sweep it under the rug, or whoever tried to sweep it under the rug. Could you explain that process to me?
Well, this is not a question and answer, but I want to take responsibility that there was communication. It's my responsibility. The detective was in our building Friday morning. He met with two of our staff members. They did not know, the principal and I were not in the building yet, and they did not notify the principal and I that he was in the building. So we were not aware that the detective had come out and gotten the video, and that was where the breakdown was.
Okay, my second concern is curriculum. Ms. Finnan said she's working hard with meeting with the teachers and assessing everything. How quickly is that going to change? Because this education seems like it's watered down now. My son is in 5th grade. He has been attending the school since 1st grade. And from that time, from 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, it was a rigorous system that was taking place. They were being challenged. And now it seems like my 1st grader is getting watered down education. He's doing doubles plus 1, when he could just do 7 plus 8 and get the answer. You know, so I need this curriculum to change, and I need a time frame to know when it's going to change, because the reason why we all chose Ad Prima is because of the education. If we wanted watered down, mediocrity, whatever, lackadaisical education, we would send them to the school district. We are Ad Prima because we want excellence, and that's what it needs to be, operating in excellence. So those are my concerns, and I want to answer.
They don't say anything.
We're just having public comment.
Sharon Cox.
My name is Sharon Cox. I have a few issues that I would like to see resolved as soon as possible. The first one is the curriculum issue. The most recent scores that were released shows that Ad Prima's academic performance dropped significantly. I want to know what plans does the administration have to resolve this issue. I believe we need to implement a curriculum other than Common Core, because Common Core is not effective. We need a curriculum that will challenge our students. We need a curriculum that is rigorous and places in a high-performing category as before. We need to make sure that the staff have the adequate resources and training to carry out the curriculum. Safety. Mr. Cavalli already addressed some of the concerns that I had. Although I am a parent with a student at 63rd Street, because of what happened at the Frankford site, I am concerned as well for the staff and students here at the 63rd Street site as well. What will be implemented to make certain that that does not happen again, and to make sure that their safety is not in jeopardy. Mr. Hudnup is my third issue. I understand that this individual had issues at the Frankfurt campus. He's now transferred here at the 63rd Street campus. What is the level of accountability of this individual who has been shifted from one site to another? I feel that shifting the individual who exhibited problems at one site does not solve the issue. What permanent solution does the board and administration have to assure that the actions of Mr. Hudnup are not repeated at 63rd Street site? Classroom and student support. My son was given several homework assignments in math, and upon my review, I noticed that almost every answer was incorrect. Who is responsible for checking the work? Is it possible to have a classroom aide assigned to the room to assist with checking their assignments and to make sure they understand what's being taught? I have another issue, gym issues. I understand that the gym teacher is no longer employed at Ad Prima. I think whoever assumes the responsibility of the temporary gym instructor should consider that some children have serious medical conditions, asthma, heart conditions, an exhausting exercise routine could aggravate their medical condition or perhaps make it worse. Therefore, if the children are expected to do physical activities, instead of having them do 100 jumping jacks, consider changing the requirements to 3 sets of 10 with a break. And I just would like to see more activities at Ad Prima, as well as we have transportation issues, which we already addressed, and staff qualifications. I just have a concern with if a person starts out as a TSA worker or in some other capacity and then is transferred to assume another employment capacity, what is their qualifications for that particular position? And that's it.
Can I have Aisha Nell? Yes. Michelle Martin.
So just make sure you get the podium.
Hello, board, and good evening. So I have a few comments. So the first one is, of course, and it was addressed by Mr. Cavalli, is the safety at Prima. So I think as parents, we need to know what the new protocol is. And I think that Ms. Finnan is trying to address that, but that was a huge problem. It was a real surprise to us because we were literally having our first meeting while this man is running around the building or walking calmly, as you could see in the video. The other issue with that is that, and this is for the parents, is that we honestly think that that man in the building was a parent or a relative of somebody who was in that building, of one of the students. So I think that as parents, we need to kind of address that issue for the parents who know who this man is. So I just kind of wanted to say that because that's a huge concern. The second is the curriculum. The curriculum is the absolute worst. And of course, we've all seen the progress report from 13-14 to 14-15. All of the parents have seen it because we have a Facebook group and it was posted in there. Now, when all of the curriculum was undone, we didn't have this administration, everybody's totally new. But what was undone was the original curriculum, the rigorous curriculum, the projects, the book reports. We just started getting book reports at Frankfurt, right? The jump starts, the recipes, all of that stuff that made the curriculum rigorous, all of that stuff that drove us parents crazy trying to finish at night with the kids is what was taken out and watered down. So we would like to see that replaced like as quickly as possible. I think that would make a big difference in the curriculum because those things were the reason why we were a blue ribbon school.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.